Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Today, we are tackling something in Excel that is super useful. Have you ever gotten a spreadsheet where it's all just messed up?
Yeah.
It can be a real pain sometimes.
Absolutely.
And you have to clean it all up. And it just feels like more work than it should be.
Yeah, data cleaning can be a huge time sink.
Yeah. So today's deep dive is going to be all about a function called Splitter.SplitTextByAnyDelimiter. That's a mouthful.
It is.
In Power Query. And this function, it's awesome for cleaning up data and basically just getting your spreadsheet from unusable to usable.
Exactly. It's all about, taking data that's kind of a jumbled mess and turning it into something that you can actually analyze and get insights from.
Yeah. So before we get into all that, why don't you introduce yourself to the listeners?
Sure. So I'm a data analyst, and I've been working with Excel and Power Query for over 10 years now. I've seen pretty much every data cleaning challenge you can imagine.
Wow, that's quite the background.
Yeah, I've learned a lot of tricks along the way.
I bet. Okay, so let's get into the function splitter, SplitTextByAnyDelimiter. What does that even mean?
Okay, so think about it this way. You have a cell in Excel that has like a bunch of information crammed into it.
Right.
And it's all separated by some character. Maybe it's a comma, maybe it's a space, a semicolon, whatever.
Like if you have a list of cities and states.
Exactly. Like New York, NY, all in one cell.
Yeah, that would be annoying.
Right. So this function lets you split that text into separate pieces using those characters, the delimiters, as the dividing points.
Okay. So you're telling me I can take that New York NY cell and turn it into two columns.
Exactly. One for the city and one for the state.
It's actually pretty neat.
Yeah, it's a real time saver.
Now, when I was looking at this function, I saw it takes three arguments: delimiters, quote style, and start at end.
Right.
What do those even mean?
Okay, so the first one, delimiters, that's pretty straightforward. It's just the character or characters that you want to split the text by. Like we said, it could be a comma, space, semicolon, basically whatever is separating the pieces of data you want to split apart.
Okay, and what about quote style? What's that all about?
So quote style is important when you have text that includes quotation marks. Like, let's say you have a list of customer names, and some of those names include titles like Mr. or Mrs. inside the name itself.
Okay.
Quote style tells the function how to handle that text within the quotes. You can tell it to treat the whole thing as a single unit so it doesn't accidentally get split apart by a comma that happens to be inside the quotes.
So it would keep Mr. Smith all together as one name instead of splitting it into Mr. and Smith.
Exactly. It's super important for making sure your data gets split correctly and you don't end up with a bunch of messed up names or other information.
That's a great point. I hadn't thought about that. Okay, and then the last argument, start at end. What does that do?
So that one basically determines whether the function starts splitting the text from the beginning of the string or the end of the string.
That's interesting. I guess I don't really get why that matters. Wouldn't you get the same results either way?
It depends on the situation. Think about it this way. Imagine you have a list of product codes, and the last three digits of each code represent a specific category.
Okay.
If you want to isolate those last three digits, you can use start@end and set it to true. That way, the function will start splitting from the end of the string, and you can easily grab those last three digits without worrying about whatever comes before them.
So if you had like ABC 123, you would split it at the hyphen, but only keep the 123.
Oh, yeah, basically. You'd get rid of the ABC part.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
So all these arguments, they give you a lot of flexibility to control how you split the text, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's really powerful. And the real magic happens when you combine Splitter.SplitTextByAnyDelimiter with other Power Query functions. Like, let's go back to your city and state example. You use Splitter.SplitTextByAnyDelimiter to split that data into separate columns, and then you can use other functions to clean things up even further. Maybe you want to trim any extra spaces, capitalize the first letter of each word, or even merge your newly separated city and state data with another table based on the city name.
So it's not just about splitting the data, it's about using that split data as a starting point for all kinds of other transformations and analysis.
Exactly. Power Query has so many different functions you can use to clean, transform, and reshape your data.
It's like having a whole toolkit, right?
Precisely. The possibilities are pretty much endless.
Okay, so to wrap things up, Splitter.SplitTextByAnyDelimiter, powerful function, lots of control over your data.
It's a must-have in your data cleaning arsenal.
Exactly. And when you combine it with other Power Query functions, you can really unlock the full potential of your data.
Yeah, you can turn a messy spreadsheet into valuable insights.
So for all you listeners out there, I want to leave you with a question.
Okay.
How can you use Splitter, split text by any delimiter, beyond just simple data cleaning? Can you analyze patterns in text, extract keywords, maybe even generate new data based on the structure of existing text?
That's a good challenge.
Yeah. Get creative. See what you can discover. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.